Living trust, revocable trust, and irrevocable trust, what are the differences? A living trust is another word for a revocable trust. So oftentimes people refer to revocable trust as a living trust. It's called a living trust because it is created while you're alive versus a testamentary trust, which gets created in your will and after you pass away. One of the main reasons people use living trust rather than testamentary trust is with a testamentary trust, your assets still need to go through probate before they go into the trust. So the whole purpose behind a living or a revocable trust is to make it so that your assets do not have to go through the probate process upon your passing and instead can go directly to your beneficiaries under the instruction of the trust. Now, the big difference between revocable and irrevocable is when you have a revocable trust. Under the eyes of the law, it's basically an extension of yourself, meaning you remain in control of your assets. You can change things within your trust. You can change who the trustee is, who the beneficiaries are. You can change the distributions under the trust. You can change most of anything that you want within the trust while you're alive. You can also easily move assets in and out of the trust. And what I mean by that is, selling something that's owned by your trust is essentially the same as selling it if it was owned by you, which is the case for a revocable trust. And these are set up for probate avoidance. And that's why everything is so simple and it is just like an extension of yourself versus an irrevocable trust, which is often set up for different reasons. They can be set up for asset protection. There's irrevocable trust that gets set up for Medicaid, or so somebody can qualify for Medicaid. They're also often used for tax planning. So if you're in a state that there's an estate tax which is lower, there's going to be the need to use irrevocable trusts. I mean, even if you have a lot of money in your state where it's high, like it is here in Florida, I still have plenty of clients who we need to use irrevocable trust for tax planning. But in this instance, the whole idea is you're basically giving up ownership and control of the asset. The trust itself is now considered the owner. The irrevocable trust is not that extension of yourself. In fact, you're not going to be the trustee of this trust. It's going to be somebody else who's going to be the trustee. So there's different purposes behind why you would set up an irrevocable trust versus a revocable trust. And oftentimes, people have assets that should be in a revocable trust as well as assets that they might want to consider putting in an irrevocable trust. So it isn't like you have to have one or the other either. Often you might start with the revocable trust and put certain assets in that particular trust. And if it's needed for other assets, you can have any number of irrevocable trusts as well. So the key point here is a lot of these things kind of work together, also depending really on the size of the estate or the goals that you're trying to accomplish. But the big things to remember between revocable and irrevocable: revocable is a revocable because you can make changes to it. You can revoke it, get rid of it. It's really friendly with regard to what you can do with both the terms of the trust and the assets within the trust. Whereas an irrevocable trust, not so easy to make changes to. It's not impossible, but there's often some hoops you have to jump through. Sometimes it does require court approval, and you don't maintain that same amount of control over your assets. And the purpose for that is if you're trying to get asset protection or you're trying to get assets out of your estate to prevent taxation, that's what you have to do in order to accomplish those goals. So I hope this answers the question. If you have any other questions about trust or estate planning in general, elder law, probate, and you're in Florida, please contact our office. We're in Clearwater. It's at Cause Law Office, and the link is in my bio.